It's Thursday, and it's time for more common knowledge. First card of the day is Woodland Druid. It's a single green mana for a 1/2 human druid. That's it. I do like the flavor text, though. Let's go give this a little read. What is a tree? Slow, hard thought. What is a flower? Swift, soft flesh. What is a druid? Both. I like that it's broken up by each line. Like it's much less cool when you just read it in the Oracle text here. But I like the formatting on the card. I think that's cool. Yeah, a vanilla 1/2 for a single mana. We have way better than this. Way better than this. But we don't have as good of flavor text on those other cards. You should not play this card in your Pauper deck, though. Flavor text or no, it is not all that great. I'm going to give it its power and toughness and say this is a 1.2. And move on to Vigian Graft Mage. It's 2 and a blue for a 0/0 Vidalcan Wizard Mutant. Well, this thing's going to die as soon as you play it, right? To state-based actions. Well, let's keep reading. It's got Graft 2. This creature enters with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Whenever another creature enters, you may move a +1/+1 counter from this creature onto it. Okay, so it starts as a 2/2. And then for 1 and a blue, you can untap target creature with a +1/+1 counter on it. It's kind of neat. It's kind of neat. I mean, three mana for a 2/2, not awesome. But being able to move those 1/1 counters onto other creatures and then being able to get a nice little bonus, I kind of dig that. I don't think there's enough strategies in Pauper that would use this. This could be maybe a cool commander card. But yeah, not really sure it goes. I mean, I kind of want to put it in a commander deck I've got with Sabsunin, the frog god. No, I'm not going to play it there. I'm not going to play it there. What am I talking about? Yeah, I don't know. I think this is kind of rough all around, but it's cool. It's at least a cool bad card and not a bad card. So let's give it a 2.2 and move on to our third card of the day, which is Star Compass. I love Star Compass. I don't know if it's all that great, but I do like it a lot. Look at this. At the old frame on that. What a nice looking card. Good job, Donato Giancola. I like the look of that thing. All right, let's see what it is. Star Compass is 2 mana for an artifact. It enters tapped, and you can tap it to add 1 mana of any color that a basic land you could control could produce. 2 mana rock. 2 mana rocks are okay. But not really in Pauper. Like maybe in Commander, this sees a little bit more play. Even then, I think you have enough 2 mana rocks that don't have the downsides this has of 1 entering tapped and 2. Where's my hand? Here it is. 2. There it is. Hey, so 1 entering tapped and 2 having to have basic lands. So like, sure, it could potentially tap for any color of mana, but it only taps for any color of mana when you already have all those basics out. It's not even basic land types, so you can't even play a dual land that has basic land types on it and then get it. You need to actually have the basic lands to make this work. And I think that just kind of drags its value down. I love it though. I think it's I'm big fan of this art. Big fan of this art, especially in the old. Ooh, excuse me. I don't think I've seen this before. Am I going to pay $1.21 for a cool Star Compass? I don't think so, because I would still want this one. I would still want that one, and it's 76 cents. Star Compass, cool card, not a very good Pauper card. Let's give it a. It is still ramp at the end of the day. I'll give it a 3. Probably more than it deserves, but I like it. Champions Kamigawa card next. Let's see how bad this card is and how much I will try to justify it. So Soratami Mirror Guard is 3 and a blue for a 3/1 Moonfolk Wizard. It flies, and it has pay 2 and return a land you control to its owner's hand to make target creature with power 2 or less not be able to be blocked this turn. I think I got my work cut out for me. 4 mana for a 3 power flyer in blue seems like it's about the going rate from like a power perspective. Blue does not get the best creatures. Those creatures do tend to fly a little bit more often, but they generally don't have big power. So having something that 3 power is nothing to sneeze at. Even with the 1 toughness, you are going to get a lot of things are just going to ping this to death, and you're going to feel a little bad about it. But a 3/1 flyer, it's okay, I suppose. And then the ability. So look, this is anti-ramp in some way. You're paying 2 mana and you're bringing a land back to your hand, and that kind of sucks. You're definitely down on mana at that point. Maybe you play this when you don't have a land drop, so you pop one of your lands back to your hand and then you play it. So that kind of negates the thing, but you are still missing a land drop because you just got the land back that you already had. You're going to end up with your same amount of mana. So it's hard to make that sound good. But you do get to make a creature with power 2 or less unblockable this turn. That could be okay. In something like a Gates deck, I could see, I'm not saying you should, but I could see you playing this, using that ability on a gate and you using it on a creature, like one of your 1/1 lifelink creatures or one of your one of the hawks, and then it can't be blocked. But then you tap your Basilisk Gate and you give it the big power. And because it was a 2 power or less when you gave it the ability, it's still unblockable. But now it's much bigger power, and now your opponent can't block. And I suppose it's very mana intensive, but I suppose there is even the potential play of tapping the Basilisk Gate to give that creature the power and toughness, then using this ability to bounce. I guess you'd have to do this in response. Yes, you'd have to do this in response, just to make it work. So you'd return the Basilisk Gate that you just tapped to your hand. So this goes on the stack on top. So this happens, you'll return the Basilisk Gate that's tapped to your hand. The creature will be unblockable. Then the ability from the Basilisk Gate will trigger, and so then that creature will get really big. Then the Basilisk Gate's in your hand. You can play that Basilisk Gate untapped. And if you have that ridiculous amount of mana, I suppose you could tap that Basilisk Gate again and give the creature a second power and toughness boost. It's a wild play. It's possible. You wouldn't do it because it costs way too much mana, and you wouldn't play a card this bad. But there is a line. There is like a galaxy brain line where this could work. Don't play this card. Don't play this card. It's a 1.7 at best. At best. It's probably not even that. It's oof. I do like its mirror and its weird face in there, man. Kamigawa was a cool plane. Einok Wayfarer. I think we've talked about this card before. Or at least we've shown it off before. I don't think we've actually rated this one, but we've rated a card very similar to it. So I guess I'm not going to count this one. There are better cards out here. You use Satyr Wayfinder instead. You use Town Greeter instead. But this one and the one from Brothers War, that's basically the exact same thing as this. They're okay. They're decent cards. I'd give them like a 4.5. But the Town Greeters and the Satyr Wayfinders are better, so you play those instead. So skipping that one, moving right on to Hull Breach. It's a red and a green sorcery, and you get to choose one. You can destroy target artifact, you can destroy target enchantment, or you can destroy target artifact and target enchantment. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, would it be better if this was at instant speed? Sure. Sure. You'd rather have this at instant speed. But you get some good modality here. You get a naturalized that can also do two things, potentially. Now you have to have an opponent who uses both artifacts and enchantments to really get the value out of it. But even if they don't, you still are paying 2 mana to naturalize something. An artifact or an enchantment, that's fine. Red and green, I don't know. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. Let's give. I also want to take a look at the other arts here. The Warhammer art. It's okay. Man. Let's give it a. I'm gonna give it a 3.9. The idea that you can pay 2 mana and destroy both an artifact and an enchantment is really good. And I think that upside boosts it up, even though two colored pips, you have to go find those colors specifically. It limits the kinds of decks you can put it in. Sorcery speed isn't that great. I think it's still, the upside is good enough that it's worthy of a 3.9. Next card is Ravenous Landworm. I am such a fan of worms. Am I going to be disappointed by this one, or am I going to try to like this one more than it deserves? We shall see. It's only 3 cents. That's not a great sign. I'm going to read the rest of this card now. It is 4 and double green for a 6/6 worm. When this creature enters, you gain 4 life. Yeah, it's just a little disappointing. I mean, it's strictly better than a craw worm. Gets an extra 2 toughness than a craw worm and the 4 life. So it's better than that. Craw worm, one of my favorite cards of all time. But no, you don't play this. There's just other cards. I think you'd play Bramble Worm over this. If you're looking to play a worm in your Pauper deck, Bramble Worm, 7 mana, so it does cost a little bit more. 7/6 is a little stronger. Gaining 5 life. It's got reach and trample. That's nice. And then it's got this extra ability to gain another 5 life from your graveyard if it ever's in your graveyard. I think you end up playing Brambleworm most any other time over Ravenous Landworm. 6 mana for a 6/6 in green. Green should be able to do better than that. That's that's Colossal Dreadmaw, right? I didn't spell colossal right at all, did I? No, it is both an O and 2 S's. 1 L. No. Yeah, I'll get it eventually. Oh, it's also not dress. Oh my god, you idiot. Here we go. Finally. Colossal Dreadmaw, that's a 6 mana for a 6/6, and it's got trample. And the trample really matters. I'd say the trample is way better than 4 mana, or 4 life. So Colossal Dreadmaw, all day, every day. Over Ravenous Landworm. Over Ravenous Lindworm. Not even Landworm. Lindworm. I'm going to give this a 2. And move on to Aven Battle Priest. Aven Battle Priest is 5 and a white for a 3/3 bird cleric. It has flying, and when this creature enters, you gain 3 life. So here's White's version of that Ravenous Lindworm, and it's also bad. 6 mana is too much. In White, not saying that you won't ever get to 6 mana in your White deck, but it'll take you a while. It's not like Green where you're able to ramp it up somehow. Sure, it flies, but yeah, this is not very good. What did I give that Lindworm? A 2? I'm going to give this a 1.9. Even worse. Come on. Let's get something going here. Is it going to be Scab Clan Charger? Let's take a look. It's 3 and a green for a 2/4 Centaur Warrior with Blood Rush. You can pay 1 and a green, discard this card, and target attacking creature gets +2/+4 until end of turn. I don't hate this. I don't. Paying 4 mana for a 2/4, not great. You're not going to be happy, especially when it's vanilla like this. But if you're just thinking of it as a combat trick, if you're just thinking of it as 2 mana to give a creature +2/+4 until end of turn, that's okay. Sure, you can only use that in pretty specific scenarios. It has to be an attacking creature, so you can't use this on blocks where you'd probably prefer it because you're getting more toughness than you are power. But it does lead to a situation where your opponent thinks they're getting a trade, and you come out and make sure that it's not a trade. You get to keep your creature; they do not. That's nice. I don't hate that. The rest of the card is a little underwhelming, and so we're not going to give it a great score, but I don't hate it, and I think it's been able to earn its power and toughness. We'll give this a 2.4, and keep on going to Amorphous Axe. Amorphous Axe is an artifact equipment that costs 2 mana. Equipped creature gets +3/+0 and is every creature type, and it equips for 3. This is tempting. Like, there's something tempting about this. Not really in Pauper, maybe a little bit more in Commander, where creature typal stuff matters a little bit more. I mean, outside of elves, goblins, fairies to an extent, there really isn't a whole lot of Pauper typal decks. They just don't, because you're not going to find like lords in Pauper at common rarity. So generally, I would say typal decks don't show up too often in Pauper. Elves is a little bit different because Elves does some crazy stuff. And then fairies is more about having a human and a non-human of one mind. But I don't think and like fairy miscreant, but that's more about having more fairy miscreants and less having fairies. I guess, sorry, I keep thinking about new things. Spellstutter Sprite wants fairies to be able to counter higher mana cost things. So in that instance, maybe you're not playing Amorphous Axe in fairies. You're not playing Amorphous Axe in elves. You're not playing it in goblins. You're not playing it in any of these decks. It's essentially 5 mana to give a creature +3/+0 and every creature type, and the every creature type generally doesn't matter. So 5 mana to give a 3 power boost to something, I think that's asking way too much. If this equipped automatically to a creature, maybe we'd have that discussion. But for most intents and purposes, I think you're just going to prefer Bone Splitter. Bone Splitter just ends up being a better thing. You're paying 2 mana to get a 2 power boost. That's just better. And this also doesn't see much, if any, Pauper play. So I wouldn't worry about Amorphous Axe. I'm going to give this thing a 1.4. 1.4. Final card of the day. Clock Spinning. Not for Pauper, but I do love this card. Clock Spinning is a single blue mana for an instant. It has buyback for 3, so you can pay an additional 3 as you cast this spell, and if you do, you put it into your hand as it resolves, so you can kind of keep playing it as long as you got the mana, or you can at least keep playing it each and every turn. But what does it do? You choose a counter on target permanent or suspended card. You remove that counter from that permanent or card, or you put another of those counters on it. So it has to be, it's a permanent or suspended card. So this could just be another +1/+1 counter if you needed it to be. That's kind of cool. But the thing that I find I use this more is because I did play Time Spiral, and I do have a Joyra of the Gitu commander deck that plays a lot of suspended cards or makes cards have suspend. That you play Clock Spinning to get those time counters off those cards, and then you get to play them faster. Clock Spinning is a real cool card. In Pauper, it's kind of like pay 1 to proliferate, but not everything, or pay 4 mana to proliferate, but only on one thing, and that's not a fantastic deal. Man, I got to put my personal love of this card aside and say the clock spinning is not really very good in Pauper. I'll give this a 1.9 and be sad. And be sad. Why would you pay $18 for a clock spinning? Especially when it has just the same art. I mean, I guess, yeah, it's okay. It's foil. Who cares? Also, buy the Time Spiral one. It's better. It just looks better. I'm going to give you a bonus card because I'm feeling it. It's a Mist Moon Griffin. It is 3 and a white for a 2/2 Griffin with flying. And when this creature dies, you exile it, then return the top creature card of your graveyard to the battlefield. It was originally from Weatherlight, where it was an uncommon, but now it is a common thanks to Vintage Masters. I hate this for a couple reasons. One, because it's 4 mana for a 2/2 flyer. That's too much. Next, because it has to die first, and that's not great. Unless you're in like a sacrifice deck, it's kind of up to your opponent a little bit on when this thing has a chance to die. It exiles itself, so you just lose the card entirely. And it also only gets the top creature card of your graveyard. And from the rules of Magic the Gathering, it used to be that you could not change the order of cards in your graveyard, because there were a number of cards that really cared about that. I think Ice Age specifically had cards that were, or at least Ice Age block alliances, had cards that said, the second from the top of your graveyard or something, or the top of your graveyard, where if you shuffled your graveyard or moved the order of that, you'd have some kind of gamesmanship. So you wouldn't be allowed to do that. These days, they have changed that rule to say, it doesn't really matter what order your graveyard's in, except if your deck or sideboard has a card that does care about the order of your graveyard. So I would not play this card out of principle, because I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to have to worry about the order of my graveyard. It is fun that this is a way to get a card, get a creature from, like, it's a random effect. It's a creature from your yard to the battlefield. Take Pauper aside for a second. What if you got to get Valgavoth out of your graveyard and onto your battlefield from this? That's kind of cool. What if you were able to get, going back to Pauper, your Lotleth Giant out of your graveyard for this? That's pretty cool. The problem is that most of the decks that want Reanimator stuff are going to be milling lots of cards into the graveyard at one time. You can't guarantee that your big card is going to be the top creature card. You'd have to constantly be looking. It's a bit of a luck thing. I don't like it. I don't like it for so many reasons. It is our bonus card of the day. I don't have to mark it down, but I do have to give it a score. I'm going to give it a 2.1, and I don't like it. That's enough for today. We'll round out the week tomorrow. I think it's a Friday one. Yeah, it should be a Friday one next time, and we'll see you then. Bye.